Hi everyone, welcome to Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica Rector. I think it's really important for us to be proactive and not wait for a disaster or something bad to happen to the community. Today we're going to talk about how to be proactive and how we can get more involved in our community. Please welcome my guest today, Sam Spector.
Nice to be here.
Welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. So tell us a little bit about the process of how you started to get involved.
Well, starting back in about 1995, I was a Little League coach working with some young people, and I wanted to be ready in case these people needed some help. They got hurt on the field.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that I was going to give them the proper help. So I started taking Red Cross classes at my local branch in Orange County. And it was a great experience for me.
Well, that's interesting that it kind of stems from that, because I think a lot of people teach sports or they have kids who are in sports and it never occurs to them to do that. So just because you were a leader in Little League, why did you really want to take these classes? Because a lot of people say, oh, well, I know I can bandage up an arm, or I can, you know, put a Band-Aid on.
Well, exactly. I mean, you hear a lot of catchphrases like walk it off.
Right.
You know, and if a player has a broken leg, I don't think you want him to walk it off, or a torn tendon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I wanted to make sure that I was giving them the proper care. I thought it was my responsibility as an adult to take care of these children.
Well, that's really great. I don't think a lot of people think that. I mean, a lot of people out there have kids, and it's their responsibility to do that, and yet, for some reason, they don't take classes to find out more or the proper care of how to do it.
Unfortunately, you're probably right.
So that's great that you took the initiative. So tell me how it stemmed from, I mean, what kind of the process after that?
Well, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to be able to help a child if he got hurt? But then I said, well, what about adults? They could be hurt too. And
right.
I'm in the restaurant business. In the restaurant business, people could choke.
People get hurt all the time.
Slip and fall.
Exactly.
They could have a heart attack right there in your restaurant.
And what do you do?
As a manager, it was important to me to know more than the average person. I couldn't rely on my staff members, although it would be great if they, you know, got involved as well
right.
in how to help someone. But I thought it was very important that I was in charge. And that way, if there was some kind of a disaster in the restaurant or an emergency, that I would be in charge and on top of it.
Well, I think that stems from something within you to want to feel, you know, pride in what you do, but also to take the responsibility of saying, hey, you know, I am in charge of this, so I need to fully fill that position by getting more knowledge about things that I may not know about. And like I said before, there's a lot of people out there who are in those positions, but it never occurs to them, or they don't think about doing that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that shows a lot of character just that from you, just that you want to do that.
Thank you.
No, well,
I appreciate the compliment.
It's the truth. So, how did you become so involved with getting all these certifications, and how do you go about doing it?
Well, let's start from where I took it next.
Next, okay.
When I thought, well, CPR and first aid is going to help one person.
Right.
And these classes were very interesting to me, and I was meeting some very nice people. But then I thought, well, what if it's more than one person? How can I help then? And why should I help? Well, I figured I'm part of a community.
Right.
And as part of a community, you need to belong. Mm-hmm. And it's not just what can the community do for you, but what can you do for the community? Now, I happen to live in Southern California, and I think your viewers do as well. And they should probably consider that there's a number of disasters that could occur here.
Right.
There's floods, there's landslides, there's wildfires, depending on where they live. There's earthquakes, naturally,
right.
You know, something we live with actually every day. We just don't feel them all.
Right.
And, well, what if there was something that was a little bit more out of their control and a lot of people got hurt? Mm-hmm. What would they do? What would I do?
Right.
So I considered the fact that I was in the restaurant business. And I get used to feeding a lot of people. So I thought, well, why don't I get myself involved in a way that if there was a natural disaster or even a man-made disaster, which could happen, nuclear power plants nearby, people get displaced, there's accidental fires in apartment buildings, a lot of people lose their home. What could I do as a food and beverage person? Well, that's where I started to get more involved in the Red Cross and taking more classes.
Right. Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about those classes.
Well,
first of all, I'm sorry, how do you decide what classes to even take?
That's a good question. When you go down to the local Red Cross branch, they will give you a list of the variety of classes that you can take, and most of them are for free because they want you to be a team member.
Right.
When there's a natural disaster, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, there's a switchboard, and somebody on that switchboard calls you, and they tell you exactly where to go, when to be there, and what you're doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have a variety of certifications, there may be other people with certifications, and they will, like a manager of a team, put you at your position.
So they call you?
They would call you in the event of an emergency, but also non-emergencies, such as community fundraising drives or just community awareness expos, where you might come out with the mobile canteen, for example, and serve coffee and give away cookies to the kids, but it makes people aware of what the Red Cross does because we hand out literature as well.
So tell us what the mobile canteen is.
The mobile canteen is a lunch truck, basically, that goes out into a disaster area and feeds the immediately displaced persons, the civil service workers, the firefighters, the emergency rescue personnel.
Right.
And offers coffee and snacks, water and juices.
To keep their energy and motivation up. And
exactly. That's exactly what it's for. Yeah.
So that's actually a great leeway from being a manager of a restaurant into that. So was that difficult for you to learn how to operate the vehicle?
Easy.
Was it?
It was easy.
Well, what about someone who doesn't have any restaurant experience, though?
Well, if you can make coffee and tie your shoes,
then you're okay.
I think those are about the only qualifications. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's not that difficult. Most of the maintenance of the vehicle is taken care of at the Red Cross branch. So you're really not required to maintain a truck.
Right.
You just need to be able to serve people from that vehicle.
What happens if you're serving someone from the vehicle and you run out of coffee or you run out of something?
We make more. The vehicle has a tremendous capacity for holding water, and that water is constantly refreshed and replenished.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, if one vehicle were to start to run low, you call in for more goods, which are being stored by the Red Cross, or they'll send another vehicle out.
So no need to panic, no need to say, okay, I'm out of coffee, what do I do? There's always going to be there'll be someone coming out with more supplies, so to speak. Right.
The truck is inventoried regularly.
Okay.
Because some of the products are perishable, they have to be inventoried and dated, and then they have to be replaced if they're not used.
Okay.
So there's really a constant replenishment of the product.
Right.
And
so no need for people to get scared that they wouldn't be able to do it, or that it'd probably be too difficult, or something like that. It's
very user-friendly.
It's very easy. Okay, perfect. So tell us about another certification that you have.
Well, I took mass care, which is part of the disaster action team. And one of those is setting up makeshift housing for persons that were displaced by a disaster.
And how do you go about doing that?
Well, once again, you go down to the Red Cross branch, and they give you the instructions as to how to take the course.
Right.
And then you take the course, and it lasts a day. And they teach you about setting up cots. Where are these locations? That they tell you where you're likely going to have to set up. Like
in your specific area?
Right.
Okay.
Because each Red Cross branch handles a region. It may be 7 cities, for example, and then they have you go through the process of where you'll get the materials from, like the cots and the dividers, the curtains, and where they'll be found, where you set them up, how many people each can hold.
So all these things are taught in the class?
Yes, generally speaking.
Right.
Yes.